Didn't see you there. Fly free, Seal Sheen. I hope I didn't break anything. What's up guys, it's your girl Maddie, back again with another video. Today we're doing something that I haven't done for quite some time. We are comparing art apps. Now I've only done this one other time on my channel, and if you'll scroll way down, not way down because I don't have that many videos, but if you scroll down to some of the first ones that I were posting featuring moi, you will find that I compared a couple art apps, and so why not do it again? I actually just recently discovered an app that is very similar to Procreate. Now if you don't know what Procreate is, it's a really great art app, and a lot of people use it for designs, for making merch, t-shirt designs. A lot of people use it for their sticker businesses. It's just a very crucial part of an artist's life if you do digital. A lot of people choose the IBIS Paint route or some of the other free art apps just because they're free. I actually used IBIS for a while, and honestly, after I got Procreate, my world was never the same. There are so many more brushes and just levels of creativity you could be on with Procreate that I'm quite sure that IBIS and some of these other apps don't offer. However, today I have found a free app that looks very similar to Procreate, but here's the best part. It's free. Yes, it's free. So we're just gonna check it out. We're going to compare it to Procreate. Since I've been using Procreate for a while, I'm quite familiar with how the app works. So we're just gonna check out this app, and we're gonna see how good it is when we compare it to the real thing. All right, so I've scooched my little self over here because this is where we're gonna put the screen so that y'all can see this. See the app. It's not there yet, I'll show it. All right, so here is the app. It is called iartbook. Now, I find that a very interesting name for an art app. So on first glance, there are quite a few things that are different about this app. First of all, being the fact that, well, here we have option of painting, animation, replication, and time-lapse. I find that very interesting, but let's just go to painting, which is technically your home screen that you would find on Procreate. Just to compare, here is the Procreate home screen. Now just ignore the drawings on there. But as you can see, here we have select import photo, and here we have new image, photo, files, and select. So files is added in there for some reason, which could be an interesting bonus. I'm not sure. So let's go under the painting selection, and we are going to select, I suppose, new image? Oh, okay. So to select your canvas, instead of just pressing a plus button like you would on Procreate, iartbook has it under a button called new image, which I find interesting. Just throwing that out there. So we're actually going to do a square because I'm also going to be using a square in Procreate, and we're just going to see. So on first glance, this is actually quite similar. There are some things that I can see that are different, but if you see, there is the sidebar, which is actually quite similar to Procreate. If we'll go over to Procreate, you will see there is the sidebar. Now there are some design differences, but it's pretty much the same here. There's going to be your brush size, and there is going to be the opacity. Here is the opacity, and it says opacity here as well, but I do believe that's the brush size. Okay, so here are our layers. Let's see how many layers we can add.
A few moments later.
Over 40 layers. So for a free art app, that's quite good. Let's go to Procreate and see how many layers we can create. So you actually have a maximum of 44 layers. However, on this, you can go up to 61 and more. So there may not even be a limit on layers. So this could be a big plus, as Procreate doesn't even have this. Now let's check out the brushes. We have, okay, so it's actually all categorized. So we've got brushes. Okay, so these are kind of all your variety. So we have, honestly, this looks almost exactly like the Procreate brushes, because if you see, we have these paint brushes, we have oil, artistic, paint, blur, airbrush, calligraphy, and if you'll go here to brushes, now there's a more distinct button for your brushes, and honestly, me being the person that loves to organize my stuff, this is more visually appealing, but the functionality seems to be almost the same. So let's see. So we've got inking, calligraphy, airbrushing, textures, abstract. So, I mean, you're getting a lot of what you can find in iArtbook. So I'm starting to get kind of the feeling that the people that created this app were actually copying Procreate. Which, for those of you that want to have an app like Procreate, but you may not want to spend the money, this could be a really good option. So let's dive in, test out some of the brushes. I'm going to select, well, I'll try to select a pen that looks, I'll try to select a brush that looks very similar. So if you see, this is almost the identical picture. So this is for gel pen, and this is just for calligraphic pen. If you'll look at my selections here, they look very, very similar. All right, let's try Calligraphy Pen on this app. Okay, so it seems as if it has the same sort of, how do you say, flowiness to the line, to the calligraphy line. Very smooth, very, very nice. This is just about the same performance that I would be seeing in Procreate. So let's do a letter again. So if you see, it very similarly copies the way that that pen would flow. Now, just to compare, let's try it out on here. It's not working. Why is it not working? Okay, this one doesn't seem to want to work. Oh, it was white. I had the white color. All right, fantastic. Okay. So if we will compare the two, they're exactly alike. I mean, there is no difference whatsoever. And honestly, and it may just be my hand, but this one seems even more smooth than the Procreate brush. I'm applying the same amount of pressure, the same amount of smooth, but honestly, if you can see, the lines here are a tad shaky, whereas this one, it just regulates, so it's a lot more smooth. So honestly, this app, as far as the calligraphic pen, may actually perform better than the one on Procreate. Now let's try something different. A lot of times when I am drawing on Procreate, I love using the airbrush. Let's see if we can find that. Airbrush. Okay, I use the airbrush a lot, usually for blushing and different types of things. So I'm just going to change the color to something, maybe a pinkish. Now, the first thing I see here is that you can create palettes just the same as on Procreate. So it is very similar. Let's see what we have down here. So this just shows the sliders for your color. And then if you see, there are loads of already loaded palettes. So in this sense, with Procreate, if you will select the color, it is really the same. A lot of the look is the same. Let's go back to this. So if you'll see, you've got the color, the sliders, and your palette. Color, sliders, palette. It's just a little bit different in as far as looks, but functionality is pretty much the same. If you'll go here, you have loads of already loaded colors. I mean, look, you've got skin, beauty skin, skinny makeup. Now, some of the names don't necessarily make sense, but you can always rename the palette, so whatever you want to call it. But we already have preloaded skin colors. I mean, as you can see, they have loaded lots of palettes. Now, Procreate has also done this. So they have some loaded palettes, but if you'll look, they only have 3. I have created the 2 you see at the top, so you have the option to create your own palettes on Procreate. On iartbook, you have loads of pre-made ones, including pastels. So a lot of colors they have already made for you, so this could save time. Now, I'd like to know if you could create your own palette. So let's see. Yep, and there we have it. So you can create your own palette just like you would on Procreate. Let's just create a color. Boom. So you can do, as far as I'm seeing, you can do everything on this app that you can do on Procreate. It's just visually slightly different. You actually have more layers. I mean, loads of layers. So let's try out the brush itself, because that's what I was gonna do in the first place. So as far as the airbrush goes, it's pretty nice. I'm not picking up my brush, and whenever I go over the color, you know, it adds color. That sounded so smart. All right, we're gonna go back. Now this is on Procreate. We're gonna select airbrush, and it looks about to be the medium blend. And we'll pick kind of a similar color, a darkish reddish color. And it looks just the same. The only difference seems to be if you go over this in Procreate, it will actually blend together, whereas the one here just kind of layers on top. So honestly, you're not getting it as smooth as you would, because if you'll compare the two, this one's a little more chunky, and Procreate, it's more fluid. So the performance might be a tad better on some brushes. But I think when it comes to the two apps, they are so similar that if you want to Procreate but you didn't want to spend the money, I would highly recommend getting this app. It's, again, called iartbook. The only issue would be if you are not an Apple product user, you either have Android or Samsung, I'm not sure if it's available for you. That may be the only catch. So there's that. Also, I'm not even sure if Procreate's available for non-Apple users. It may be, but you know, you just gotta check. So if this is available for you, I would highly recommend getting it if you haven't gone to Procreate yet. And even if you have Procreate and just want to play around with an app slightly different, I would recommend getting it. I mean, I've tested out a lot of free art apps because obviously, who doesn't love free art apps? But this one is very, very similar to Procreate. And I could go on and on. I could test all these different brushes. But if you look, I mean, there are even different options that you will not find in Procreate. Look at this. Look at this. Flora. So there are branches with leaves. There are flowers. I mean, look. So you're going to find a lot of different textured brushes that you will most likely not find in Procreate. We have flow, glossy. I mean, look. It's almost sort of like a metallic pen. And it's very smooth as well. They're all quite smooth. I am honestly very impressed with this. I want to try the bucket tool. So basically what you do is you take your inking, you'd make a circle, and you'd fill in just by dragging it over. Looks exactly like Procreate. Let's try it. Okay, That little dot there is from earlier when I was using white pen, so ignore that. But other than that, it performs exactly like the Procreate bucket tool. Good grief, how did that thing get in here? I have trapped a crane fly. I'll be right back. I gotta go let that go. Well, that was unexpected. Okay, so as I was saying, this app is so similar to Procreate that you could, I mean, apart from a lot of visual differences with the controls and everything, at sometimes you get more with this app than you would with Procreate. There are no ads as far as I can see, and it's free. So if you don't want to get Procreate, at least right now, I would recommend getting iartbook. It's very functional. I'm very surprised at how it performed because a lot of times, well, every other time I've tested an art app, there are usually catches. Normally it being there are boatloads of ads that are just so annoying. I know from using IBIS Paint there are constant ads, and if you want to use it for free you gotta either watch ads for the brushes. This, none of that. Maybe as I use Procreate longer I will discover things that Procreate has to offer that iartbook does, because obviously they're different apps and they're not going to be the exact same. But if you want a cheaper or, well, priceless option, I would go with this app. I will leave a link in the description. Hopefully the link will work. If it doesn't work, let me know. I don't think I've ever linked to the App Store, but if you don't have an Apple phone, you may not be able to find it, but there's always the option. Hopefully you'll be able to find it. I would highly recommend using it, and I hope that this review helped. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for watching. As always, let me know what you want to see in the comments. As always, I hope you have a lovely day, and I will see you in the next video.